Hi guys. So here we are. This is where we were going to. My last videos I kind of teased you. So we are at a cemetery in Coal City, Illinois, which is really far. It took us about 2.5 hours to get here. Um, because we want to tell a story that we were told by Steve, our friend Steve.
And Paul?
And Paul. But I think Steve did the
Told
story
it,
on
yeah.
it. About William Rugh, R-U-G-H. This is his grave. And this is the dedication that's on the grave. It says, "Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends." John 15:13. I just wanted to tell you before we tell the story that there's a whole plot of Rughs here. I'm not sure how everyone is related, but I was able to determine a couple of things. So I'll tell you the relationship. Not to William, but to each other here. So I was able to look up one of these stones, and I looked up this fellow here. He's got a nice picture. I looked up, you can still find his obituary online. And according to the obituary, he was laid to rest where, Karen? In a national cemetery somewhere in Oregon.
Yeah,
So,
according to that, he was buried. This might be a cenotaph, but I'm not sure. It did say though in his obituary he was going to be buried in another state. So
yeah,
this might be
Oregon.
yeah,
It
this
was
might
a
just be
Oregon
in Oregon.
cemetery. But we found out a whole bunch of information through his obituary, and from his obituary, we learned that the Glenn and Helen right next to him are his parents, and then this is his brother and his brother's wife, Clifford and Nancy. So I just wanted to tell you that. So there's a whole mess of Rughs here. I'm not sure how the rest of them are related, but it goes all down the line until we get to William. And William has an incredible story that Steve from Midwest Flesh told us yesterday. And Karen, on Find a Grave, he has a Find a Grave. I'll link the Find a Grave. And there's actually a couple of newspaper articles about William. This man was absolutely incredible.
Hero.
He was a hero. So you want
Sure.
to tell the...
Basically, this is an article that we found on Find a Grave that talks about it. The article was written at the time of his death. What had happened was he was selling newspapers on the corner, and he saw an article about a young lady that had severe burns, and he
Yeah, from a
decided,
recent fire
yes, she
in a
had been
house
burned
or
real
something,
bad,
Steve said.
burned real bad, and so he decided he had a lame leg that was no good to him, so it was useless. So he decided, I'm going to do something.
He only had one leg to begin with, right?
No, they had to amputate the leg to do the skin graft.
Right, but wasn't he without the other leg to begin with?
I don't think so. I think he had one good leg. I could be wrong.
Because
But
I
either
thought
way,
Steve said, okay, well, that's okay.
yeah,
Either
the
way.
article will clarify. I shall look closer to it in a minute here.
Well, Steve would
Closer at
probably
it.
know too, but I thought
Right.
that's what he said, but maybe I misunderstood.
Um,
But anyway, go ahead. So he had
Okay.
one lame leg. He was a newspaper guy.
And so he decided, when he saw this article, that he was going to, since the leg was no good to him, he was going to offer his leg skin graft, to do a skin graft from his leg, and his bad leg. And the doctors told him, well, in order to do that, we have to amputate the leg. So he said, yes. He said, go for it. So
Because according to what Steve said, the leg was no use to him anyway.
right,
Is what he said. And this, by the way, all happened in Indiana.
Gary,
Probably out by
Indiana, yes.
Gary, Indiana, not here in
Yes.
Coal City.
Yeah. So his family's from here, so that's why he's buried here.
Yeah.
But this all happened. Did we give the date in 1912? Well, you saw.
Yeah,
the
it's on the
cemetery.
stone.
Yeah, it's on the cemetery.
He died in 1912.
So they arranged for the operation. They did the skin graft. It was successful, but he in turn caught an infection, and then he got pneumonia, and he passed away a couple of weeks after the surgery. in this article from 1912 that we found in Find a Grave, according to this article, the gal that had gotten the skin graft from him, whose life was saved, she had no idea that he had died. She continued to send him roses to the hospital, where she thought he was still at, and nobody had the heart to tell her that he had passed away. They kept all newspapers away from her. They kept the family servants away for fear that somebody would spill the beans to her. But some of the wording in this newspaper article, it touches you. He had a foster mother, according to this article, and when she came to his bedside when he was dying, he said to her, "I'm glad," he whispered, a few minutes before he passed. He said, "Tell her that I'm just glad." And he said, "Don't cry, Mommy. I never amounted to nothing before, and now you know I done something for somebody." And that, I mean, I know I'm going
That's
to cry.
just so
The article
touching.
is really incredible. But so after he passed away, and he was conscious right to the last, and according to this article too, at the moment of death, he had been holding one of the roses that gal had sent to him, who received the skin graft, and it fell from his hand onto the bed. Whew, man.
Wow.
But
This story makes me want to
it's
cry.
incredible. Well, the mayor of the town,
Of Gary.
declared the town was basically closed up. The steel companies closed up. The whole town basically came to the funeral for him, and there were so many people that came to the funeral, they couldn't have it inside, and the preacher preached or did the funeral from an automobile in the street, because from the hearse probably.
Yeah.
Because
The inside couldn't hold them all.
right.
It was at that community church that we put up the video on yesterday, is where it was supposed to be held.
That's right.
Yeah, because that's what
right.
Steve said.
Yeah. So they had the funeral, and they were supposed to be erecting a statue in his honor, but for some reason it never happened. So there's no statue.
Yeah, come on, Gary. This man
Yeah,
deserves a statue. I don't care how long
Yeah.
it's been.
Yeah, he needs
People.
one for
He
sure.
needs to be recognized for eternity
Yeah.
on this earth.
And you know what? It's like everybody, or like Ron, Face of the Forgotten says, Stephen Paul say, everybody has a story. It's just, everybody has a story, and if it wasn't for these YouTubers, and also Scott and Tape, and all these people who do this kind of stuff.
Yeah, and Steve and Paul from
Mhm.
Midwest Flesh and Steel
Right.
City Storm.
If it wasn't for these people all over YouTube doing this stuff, we would never know of these stories. Because, for instance, this is from 1912. You know, so it's
Yeah, he was born in 1871 and died in 1912. How old was he? How old does that make him? Not that old.
Yeah, I think he was 40 something. It said in the article, I think 46 maybe. Let me see. 1871, 1900 he would have been around 29 maybe, and then 1912 he had 12 years to that, so about 40. Maybe
Jeez,
41.
such a young
So, yeah,
man.
he wasn't that old. But read the article and Find a Grave. It's just
Yeah, I'm
incredible.
going to attach the Find a Grave link to this video because this man has an amazing story and the world needs to know.
And Stephen Paul, thank you for bringing this to
Our attention, yeah,
and to the world's
absolutely.
attention. Really incredible. Man, it's worth coming out here to see it.
Yeah, it really is worth coming out here just to see this. We took a 2.5-hour drive, and this cemetery is beautiful, by the way. It's very small, and it's on a rural road. I mean, we just parked in the middle of the cemetery. That's it right there. Beautiful trees here. Just a really pretty cemetery. But I don't think anybody... Well, there's a couple flowers there, so I guess people get visitors, but not too many. Shoot, we should have brought flowers. Well, this was a last-minute
Yeah, it
decision
was
to come
last
here because it
minute.
was raining this morning,
Yeah.
and we didn't know what else to do, and the rain let up, but the place we wanted to go to was closed. So I said, why don't we go find this man's grave? I really want to see it. So we said, okay, let's go. And so here we are. So I'm sorry we don't have flowers. I would have brought some if I planned it ahead, but I'm just glad I got here. Rest in peace, William Rugh. You are a hero. You are a true hero. Seriously, this man, he deserves more than a monument. Who would do that? You know? Who would do that?
Yeah.
And his life ain't worth nothing?
Yeah.
They need to put up a
Put him,
statue and prove
yeah.
him wrong, because his life meant a lot to that lady, and I wonder how long she ended up living. I'd sure like to know.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I should bring up her name and find a grave, see if she comes up.
But yeah, it's very easy to find. It's right off the road, a couple sections in. Once you pull in, it just goes around in a half circle here. And once you pull in, it's right here, like the second grave in from the road. So come on out and say hello to him if you're in Coal City area or not far. I'm sure he'd appreciate the visitors. And bring a flower.
Subscribe to their channel, Stephen Paul.
Yeah.
Great guys.
Subscribe to Midwest
Stephen Paul, great
Flesh and Steel City Storm, Scott on Tape. There's a whole bunch of them out there,
Ron,
great people.
all of them.
Yep.
So many. It goes on and on. But
Yeah.
these guys are we've met all these guys. Flo has met Scott on Tape. I haven't met him yet, but I subscribe. But Paul, Steve, Ron, yeah, obviously we've met. Britton, Ron's friend, we've met. And Scott on Tape you've met. So yeah, we can test.
They're really good
about
people.
These guys. They're
All
great.
these guys are good people.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's the story of William. And I just had to, bring it to light because it's an amazing story, incredible story. So we're going to take off, go to the gas station, clean the bird poop off my car window.
Yeah.
Probably find what's the name of that restaurant we want to go to?
Barrel?
Cracker Barrel restaurant
Yeah.
somewhere, and go get something to eat. So we'll see you later. Thanks, guys.